welcome back to the In Goal Radio podcast. If you're listening to me, that means our fearless leader, Darren Millard, is preoccupied. He might have something on his plate. There's something called the Stanley Cup Final. But in Carolina, a little busy this week, Hutch. So it's me and you. So all the best wishes to Darren as he's off to cover the Cup Final with the Vegas Golden Knights. As he's told us over the past couple of weeks, no longer doing the practice goalie thing. They've got a Kira Schmid for that. So we know he'll kill it. Unfortunately, it means you're stuck with me driving the bus here. I will try not to take all the wheels off the road or over a cliff. Mr. Hutchison, it's actually it's still pretty, we got the Cup Final starting tomorrow. Carolina, Vegas, heavy hearts for Freddie Anderson and the Carolina Hurricanes after the tragic passing of Claude Lemieux this week. I don't know if you remember this, but we met Claude at one of the early Play Hockey Expos down in Vegas. And I feel like it was he was consulting with the Sherwood Group or the group that bought Sherwood and Louisville. And man, you know that it's funny. Obviously, incredible career. I covered a little bit of it as a journalist, but my memory is actually from that meeting and that conversation because I was wearing a pair of shoes that he also wore, and we ended up in a 5-minute chat about my shoes. Literally, when I told my wife about his passing, she remembered because I'd shared this story with her. I literally came back and bought another pair of the same shoes. They're like a casual dress shoe because he had talked to me about, but just the kind of that's the person that we lost, here, like a guy who had all this success on the ice and he would engage in a conversation that didn't necessarily have to be about hockey. He brought it back to you as a person. And so our condolences to the friends and family of Claude Lemieux, including Freddie Anderson, who clinched that series in the Eastern Conference Final with a heavy heart and will be playing for Claude and his family here in the Stanley Cup Final. There is a lot going on in the world of hockey, and I think we've got a little tie-in. This week's parent segment, you told me, is going to be about 10 tips for tournament hockey, and we just finished one of the biggest tournaments outside of the Olympics, the World Championships. Two, I guess, with the Memorial Cup. Yeah, that tournament style as well. So
it was a big weekend with some big goaltending performances.
Some amazing goaltending performances. Let's start at the World Championships. Justus Annunen of the Nashville Predators with a really good performance in the gold medal game, wins it with a 19-save shutout. And I got to say, loved his game in the playoffs. An old friend of ours from the goalie coaching fraternity, James Jensen, who was with the Everett Silvertips, who were at the other tournament
in the Memorial Cup
recently final. Moved to Nashville, texted me out of the blue, I want to say 2 months ago. He was at a Predators game. His son is a goaltender, and he was so impressed with Justus Annunen watching him live in that game that he's like, I'm going to teach my kid to play like this guy. That's how impressed he was with Justus Annunen. Now, I got to be honest. Annunen had some numbers early in his Colorado Avalanche days that the adjusted numbers on ClearSight Analytics were really promising. And then he had a bit of a dip one year and they traded him to Nashville. And ever since then, it's like he's been building back up to what we saw originally. There's a goalie here that I think has a really bright upside. The numbers sort of indicate that he's a guy to watch. And as he continues to build that case with UC Saros under contract for a long time in Nashville, it'll be interesting to see what happens, especially as we enter a Cup Final and come off a Stanley Cup playoff run where there's a lot of sort of 1Bs, the Scott Wedgwoods of the world that have emerged as starters for other teams. So a heck of a performance by Annunen. Now, the bad news, at the other end, Leonardo Giannoni,
wow. Hey, let's not call it bad news. It's tough to not win.
Yeah.
But you know what I always say in the parent segments? Let's evaluate the performance, not the result.
Well, the result is heartbreaking because, has this guy got to start being a forward too and score some goals? Is that 3 straight gold medal games where he has played behind a team that did not muster a single one? He lost 1-0 to the Americans in overtime last year, 1-0 to Finland this year, and this year, of course, for Switzerland and Leonardo.
In overtime, right?
Home host, the crowd was crazy. What a big moment that would have been. Still, like you said, he was incredible at the Olympics. We got to get him on the podcast. I've tried. I'm going to keep trying. I think when he's at the Olympics, all the media from outside Europe, all they asked him about was, why didn't you make the NHL? I want to talk to him about goaltending. Forget why the NHL never happened for him. Every time I watch this guy, he's exceptional. He's clearly on big stages, performs really well. I'd love to pick his brain about the position and how he's evolved in it. So silver medal for the host Swiss and Leonardo Giannoni, and let's get you on the podcast if anybody hears this and knows him and gets it back to him.
And you mentioned 2 1-0 losses, but I believe it's actually 3 consecutive gold medal games lost 1-0.
Somebody score a goal for this guy in the gold medal game.
Can't do any more. Oh my gosh. Unbelievable. And absolutely outmanned in all those games too. Like, this isn't like he gave up 1 goal facing 10 shots. This is yeoman's performance. Speaking
of outmanned in the World Championships, let's wrap up with the bronze medal game, where another shout out is well deserved. Henrik Hockland, I hope I'm saying that right. Norway beats Canada in the bronze medal game in overtime. An exceptional game from him, an exceptional tournament from him. First ever bronze medal at the World Championships for Norway, who seems to quietly, as we've seen them do in other sports, be a rising power for a small country in hockey as well. And do you remember the U.S.? And also, for the record, we are efforting to get Henrik on the podcast as well, and I will try and get Justus Hanninen on as well. Pretty sure I have a number for him. So these are exceptional performances, and we want to get you on, guys. But USA Hockey, this is the irony here. USA Hockey's presentation for the bronze medal, where they talk about how they're trying to develop athletes, pointed directly at Norway, not hockey specific, but just the way Norway has to develop their athletes by, in part, taking score out of the equation completely and results out of the equation completely at a young age. You recall that?
Absolutely recall it. And I think we saw a lot about that during the Winter Olympics as well. A lot of coverage of the Norwegian development plan. It's not just take the score out of it. I don't even think you're allowed to keep score. It's not that we choose not to. I think across the board, you're not allowed to. And making all sports available for kids, regardless of socioeconomic background, keeping everything about skills and having fun. We really should present that whole program here in some way, because I think it's good for everybody in the hockey and sporting world to take a look at what Norway's doing with a population that is about the size of a Canadian province. We're not talking about a massive power here that can draw from hundreds of millions of athletes. Imagine your local state is now dominating the world sports, at least winter sports. Yeah, it's just an incredible testament to the way they raise young athletes in Norway.
And I got to say, though, you run the parent playbook. We'll presented by Stop It Goaltending U, the app. We'll have that a little later in the show. Chances of parents in North America accepting scoreless hockey, even up to age 12.
Oh my gosh. They can't handle when the younger ages here switched over to cross ice games. Parents went ballistic. How are they supposed to learn to play a full ice game when they're starting like this? I mean, they're practicing small area games at the National Hockey League level, and your kid's only 7 years old. Relax. People who are smart are doing the right thing here. Just go with it and see if it works. But it becomes something that's super important to parents. So
0.0001% is the chance of parents allowing scoreless hockey to exist up to age 30. I think it's 13 in Norway before they're allowed to even.
Is it really?
It is. Yeah. It is remarkable. So if I've got that wrong, I'm sure our listeners will send me a note. Actually, Steve Thompson will send me a note because he runs all those excellent programs at USA Hockey. And that was a standout to me when they shared the way they are doing things over there. Okay, we got a busy show. We got lots going on. We got Brett Jaeger.
Let's not forget the Memorial Cup, which you glossed over there a little bit quickly.
I was too busy.
In fact, to mention.
Yep. There you go. Shout it out. Tournament hockey before we get to.
Yeah. So the Memorial Cup is the top junior hockey championship in Canada, the CHL. Over 60 teams compete to win this tournament at the end of the year. Obviously, you have to win your league or be the host to get into the tournament, but one of, if not the hardest tournament in hockey to win. Congratulations to the Kitchener Rangers and starting goaltender Christian Kirsch, who is a San Jose Sharks prospect, for having won that yesterday over the Everett Silvertips, where you just mentioned James Jenner is the goaltending coach, along with goaltender Anders Miller out of Anchorage, Alaska. And also, Woody, I've forgotten the name. I'm going to get in trouble. I'll see if I can sneak it in later. the head coach of the Kitchener Rangers, who is a Finnish head coach, first time it's been won by a Finn, was a goaltender who even played a game in the British Columbia Hockey League. Congratulations to the Kitchener Rangers for that win, and to Everett and all the teams that competed across the country this season in junior hockey.
I was going to bail you out here with a quick Google search.
Please.
It was UC Ahokas, but I don't know if I'm saying that right because I did not watch a minute of the Memorial Cup. I was preoccupied with World Championships and a little bit of travel, so hopefully I got that right. He's a goalie, so he'll forgive us because he's a part of the
It's the last minute I discovered that he was a goaltender, but it's always excited when somebody from the goaltending fraternity does well at something.
Excellent. Hey, also, let's go back to the World Championships because I know they lost in the bronze medal game and he'll be disappointed. But Jet Greaves with the shutout of Team USA to get them to the semifinals. Exceptional game there. And I think that on behalf of the Woodley family, we'd like to thank Jet. Apologies to Devin Cooley, who's also a fan favorite here at the Ingo Radio Podcast, but my poor daughter is going to school in the United States as a Canadian in a part of the United States where they think we live in igloos and all the stereotypes, including hockey, and she has taken a crap ton of heat ever since the Olympics. So she gets a little pushback. We were on the island on Tofino surfing when it happened, and immediately lit up the text messages of all her college teammates who have been giving her a hard time about the Olympic results. Thank you, Jet, for giving her something to push back with in the quarter final. All right, so we mentioned featured guest. I teased it, sort of, got started, got cut off because I hadn't finished the other thought. What do you know, me not driving the bus in a straight line. Kel Surprise. Darren, we need you back when you're done with that little thing they call the Stanley Cup final. Brett Jaeger, 22 years as a pro. Local kid here in the Lower Mainland that we got to know. Played junior here in Alberta. Was on the ice with him, working with a couple different coaches over the years. We'll get into that in the interview. Coming off a 22-year career in Europe. Played as high as the DEL, finished up in slightly lower levels in Germany, is now transitioning into coaching and working with kids. And we just wanted, when we found out he was retiring, to pick his brain on that journey. I think a lot of us in North America, we look at junior, we look at college, and we look at the road to pro, and we don't even consider the options that exist, not just to continue playing hockey and get paid professionally, but to build a life in some pretty sweet places across the world. And so Brett's lived that, and we're going to get into that, as well as some of the lessons that he picked up along the way in our feature interview presented by NHL Sense Arena. But first, we need to talk about what's going on over at the Hockey Shop Source for Sports, because there is new gear coming in every week. Last week, we told you about the Bauer Fuse pads and gloves. We've got the Bauer Fuse chest protector coming up in a couple weeks. Second price point equipment is coming in on a regular basis, like every week. And we've talked about this before, Hutch. Man, second price point stuff is as good as pro was even 3-4 years ago. Half the price, a little more flex to it. And so this week we're going to take a look at, there's a ton of it. There's the new CCM Tax, not pro, second price point. The Bauer Supreme line has a second, like all of these. There's a new second price point from True. All of these options are in store at the Hockey Shop Source for Sports, including this week's featured segment that Cam is going to explain, the Brian's Iconic. Cam likes to think he's iconic. I think not, but it is the Brian's.
Our sound editor hates it every time he whispers iconic.
Brian's Iconic X2. I won't whisper it. I'll shout it from the rooftops, and I'll let Cam explain why in this week's gear segment, presented by the Hockey Shop Source for Sports, the Hockey Shop in Langley. Top level sliding material
Primo
on a lower price point pad.
Yes.
I like it. The new Brian's Iconic X2. So this is a second mid-price point pad.
This is the mid-price.
So not as expensive as the highest end.
Not as expensive as Iconic 2.
We've got some Iconic 2 features on it, including Primo on the slide surface, one of the premium sliding surfaces in goalie equipment.
I don't know how else you were going to string that one together, but
it's as good as I got, Cam. It's as good as I got today, buddy. You know the secret to being a good goaltender, Cam?
Actually keeping the puck out of the net?
No. It's being able to perform when you have your B game. So Primo to Premium is all I got today. I'm going to need you to walk me through the rest of why I care about the Iconic X2 pad.
Ladies and gentlemen, So, new Iconik X2. Pad-wise, we're talking about construction-wise, what Brian's considers a modern butterfly style of pad.
Okay.
So, more flexible.
I noticed that. Very flexible. I like
Correct.
that.
Versus, say, the Optic X.
See those reactions as I drop them?
Yes, I noticed that. So what we find with that Optic pad, we're going to get more of that like Z-shaped kind of style of a profile. This pad, a lot more accepting of flex.
A little more rounded.
Correct.
Will hold its shape as you break it in?
Yes. So if you get a little bit of that profile to it, pop it down, it will start to hold that shape a little bit more, so you can get more of that rounded shape of your butterfly if you wish.
I'm doing all these things we're not supposed to do in the store.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, it's not really a good gauge of the way that the pad performs.
I know, we've had this conversation before. We've had this conversation.
But what it does tell you is that it has a nice soft boot, so that's already a good start to it as well. Okay, moving on to the back of the pad.
Big knee stack.
Yes, so something that we started.
That's a big old knee stack.
Coming from, again, their previous versions. So we had that updated knee stack as well. Great overall feature for getting you up a little bit higher in your butterfly. Overall stability in the pad too as well. You see a giant improvement with having that bigger, thicker knee stack.
And again, sort of flat inside edge. There's a lot of connection between the ice. Normally you'd say that means a lot of resistance while sliding, but this material is so good. It makes such nice shapes or sounds.
Yes.
Cam's gonna like do some rapping soon.
Oh, I hope not.
It'll slide good.
Yes.
Whiskey, 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 whack.
Great. Okay. Simplified strapping. So one thing that the Iconik pad has really pushed forward is literally only 2 straps, pretty much. So
simple.
Knee, calf, you're done.
Pillow.
Nice and thick.
Well, I can use a nap. Segmented pillow. So
Correct.
it's gonna, again,
Contour and allow that.
not gonna hold your ankle high in the air, which is not good for your hips or your knees.
Nice aero mesh shin pillow.
Connectivity, a little pillowy to it.
Correct.
Is this a bootstrap?
It is. They're smart bootstrap. I mean, it's removable.
I forgot what bootstraps were.
Yeah, I'd probably say in most cases it's definitely worth getting rid of. It's been deleted off of the Pro Series.
Understand, like, hey, if you've got a youth goaltender, right? If this second price point, you're not buying Pro, second price point, you've got a young goaltender, and you're worried about like, hey, it might be a little big on him right now. Not that we encourage buying them too big. We want them to fit, but a little, like the one thing a bootstrap does is hold the pad down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you grow into it, you can, as you said, it's removable. Like there are uses. There are guys, Jakob Dobish has a bootstrap going through the middle of his skate, not necessarily the back of his
and
boot.
elastic toe ties, one of the few.
There you go.
Yeah. But I digress. So
you do.
Elastic toe ties back to here. Still their same smart toes. Do with what you wish. Switch to laces. Obviously have that option there, or continue with that smart toe.
Hey, they still got the little flap for the knee.
For those knee pads, yes. Specifically there.
I'm gonna take it out just so you have to put it back in after.
Oh, perfect. Thank you for that. All right.
Velcro's right in, folks.
Moving on.
Cam, you want to put that back in for me when I'm done?
Later.
Show me the glove, Cameron.
Okay. So, did you like the Iconik glove? Then you're going to love the Iconik X2. Why? Because it's the exact same break angle.
And which is?
Same overall feel.
What do they call this break angle, Cam?
So it's their 35-degree closure, which is closer to a 600 break, kind of.
We got a video that you can go find that sort of breaks this all down as the different brands have different names for their brakes and how they all sort of match up. Just so you know. You can go find that.
Yeah. Hey, the T5s are back, though.
Oh, I like the T5s. Those are cool.
So, double T, nice wide open closure, reinforced on the actual finger rail itself. Bit of a problem with the Iconik original. It did tend to split a little bit. They had some problems with the plastic, so this is something they did fix a little bit better.
Blocker.
It's a blocker.
It is. Don't make me punch you with it.
And
Tell me what's
fans
new.
of the Iconik, you're going to feel pretty much the exact same. It's got a new graphic. And, you know, that's neat, right? Basically what I'm getting at, folks, this hasn't really changed a whole lot, and it didn't need to. Nice, solid blocker. Fingers
I like a little extra like wraparound foam on the index finger. I like that.
It's not necessarily called out as any specific like crazy foam or anything like that, but does give you a little bit of that impact protection as well.
Hands off my fingers, Cameron. Is it adjustable? Like with the Velcro on the back? Okay, then not.
It's in. So,
okay. All right. So we're talking a lot about how this Iconik X2 is very similar to the Iconik, and you're like, so why is there an Iconik X2? Well, because it's what, half the price?
Yeah.
It's the second price point, folks. So what are you going to get less of? Cameron talked about the glove feeling the same. Probably going to be a little less materials. The flex in this.
You don't get the dials.
You don't get, right, no dials. The durability might not quite be the same in terms of the foams that are used on the inside. It's a little softer, a little more
I don't think the word
flexible.
durability is fair in this price
Okay.
point, because I think you can still get quite a long lifetime out of the pad. It's just what you are going to not
The
get.
foams might soften up a
You
little
don't
bit.
get Brycore into the pads. You don't get Brycore into the blocker. You don't get Brycore into the glove. So there's going to be some sacrifices of those internal foams.
That's
That
why he's
negates
the
your
expert.
two different price points.
That's why you pay less. I oversimplified. Cameron had a good explanation. That's why we come here. And if you have questions about whether this is for you or the young goaltender in your life, what age group it works for, what level of play it works for, I would suggest giving Cameron and his crew a call. Where can they get you?
604-589-1899
Slow
or
down.
1-800-567-7790.
And of course,
That number again is 604-589-8299.
And if they want to email you,
Goalie@thehockeyshop.com.
go. It's simple, folks. Simple. Questions about goaltending, ask the experts. Hockey Shop, source for sports in Langley, hockeyshop.com. Brian's Iconik X2. We just got through an entire segment of the Iconik line without Dippy Doo going, Iconic.
It's because I'm iconic.
No, you're not.
All right. Another option. Like to see
Another
it.
option. So many. Brian's in the Stanley Cup final. Maybe not that exact set, but
I think Carter Hart is an iconic guy.
is he?
I believe he's an iconic guy. I got to
Okay.
double check that. So, yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. So, what do we got in the Stanley Cup final? We got a Latrue v. Brian. You know what else we got in the Stanley Cup final? We got this is two teams that use the tracking goggles.
Oh, yeah.
Carter Hart uses it every game day.
There's going to be more emails coming in.
It'll be very interesting to see whether media picks up on it. They may just see him with goggles under his mask during morning skate and assume it's just another set of swivel vision, but it's not. It's the new Track Optic goggles. And I know Freddie Anderson's not using them as much anymore or using them at all anymore, but I know Pyotr Kochetkov uses them. I know Paul Schoenfelder, the goalie coach from the Carolina Hurricanes, has used them. Dustin Wolf, Devin Cooley, but Carter is one of the first ones that's using them as publicly as he is. Like every morning skate it's on. I've got video of him using it here late in the season. Talked about he actually felt well he was out for those 3 months. He expected to come back on the ice after missing 3 months and feel real sloppy, but he started using it, wearing them off ice. And there's a lot of science behind it, how it can reset vestibular function. He got on the ice and said his edges were dialed. So keep an eye out for that if we see footage from the Stanley Cup final of Carter Hart wearing the new Track Optic goggles, which should be out later this summer.
The other one I'd love to hear you comment on is I am sure people will be watching Freddie Anderson in the playoffs and say, those pads look short.
They are short. We've discussed this in the past, I think.
A little bit.
I actually was in the locker room when he was with...
Like, I didn't know you could order a 34 -2, but that's what it looks like he's wearing.
Yeah, they definitely look short. And now listen, some of this is just everybody's body's built different and there's measurements, shins and thighs and maximum heights for each goalie. But Freddie's not a guy that's ever worried about maximum when it comes to his thigh rise. I remember being in the Toronto Maple Leafs locker room with Freddie. He was still wearing Bauer at the time. And he had actually sent because obviously Bauer pads at the time were, small, medium, large. There wasn't a lot of +1 option available there. I believe there is now at Pro, just for the pros. They can order slight alterations on that. I should probably double check that before I put it out into the wild. But he actually had taken his Bauer pads, had them sent to somebody locally that basically chopped an inch off the top of each one, maybe an inch and a half, trying to remember off the top of my head. And we're in the locker room and he's showing me how it's stitched up. And I'm like, but why wouldn't you want the extra coverage? And he just showed me. He did carpet flies in the Maple Leafs the visiting room of the Maple Leafs in town, showing me. And it's like, it was perfect. Like it just sealed perfectly. Like when he drops into the butterfly, the tops meet right at the top and there's no 5 hole. So yes, folks, if you are seeing that and noticing that, he does wear a pad that is, my understanding is a little bit below his maximum height.
Was it simply because they sealed perfectly at that size, or was there more to it about wanting mobility?
Well, he felt.
I don't know.
He felt like there was no interference at the top of the pads as they clicked together in his butterfly, but right in that right spot with the coverage. They weren't hitting each other. They weren't. Sometimes when it hit each other, you can push your legs apart a little bit, create a gap between the pants. He just felt like he was more mobile, moved better, and he didn't need the extra height on the top of the pad. So I know Bobrovsky years ago did the same thing. Now he's since, I know they've talked him in Florida into adding a little bit more to the top and going. I don't know if he's at his max or close, but it's really interesting theory. Like it's funny. We don't hear a lot as goals go in and saves percentage drops below 900 for the first time in forever in terms of shrinking the equipment. But it is funny that as they started to shrink it, goalies felt more mobile and some have shrunk it beyond the maxes that they currently play at. So something else to keep an eye on. Darren, if you're listening, you're all over these angles live from the Stanley Cup Finals starting in Raleigh, Carolina. So back to us, Hutch. See if I can pull this bus back on the road. ProReads this week.
ProReads.
Presented
ProReads.
by our friends over at Visual Edge. Would you like the puck to look like a beach ball? I know I would. Every goalie has that night here and there where the puck looks huge. You're ahead of every play, you feel calm, patient, you're in total control. Then there are the nights that I know far too well. You're a half step late. You see it, but you don't really see it. You're reaching, you're guessing, you're fighting it. That's not your technique. Whew, thank goodness. It's your eyes and your brain not processing the play fast enough. Visual Edge fixes that. It's measures how well your eyes track and process the game, then gives you a custom plan that trains improvement. 3 15-minute sessions a week on your laptop or tablet, that's all it takes. It's what NHL goalies like Jordan Binnington use to make the game slow down when it matters most. And of course, remember, 10% off using the code INGOAL, all caps, INGOAL. And if you're a member of InGoal Magazine, you have a subscription, just go to any ProReads, including this week's, for the exclusive membership discount to save even more. 20% for all members. Make sure you check it out at any ProReads, including this week's, which features Dustin Wolf with some advice on no shot threats on a power play, how to read the difference between what makes a guy a shot threat and what doesn't. This is a tough one for me to present and ask questions, and we don't have Darren here to lead the way, so I'm just going to explain it a little bit. Dustin walks you through some of the tells about whether, and in this case, it's Nathan MacKinnon of the Colorado Avalanche, getting the puck in a similar spot at the top of the circles once and then a second time, and what factors around him make him either a shot threat or not a shot threat. And so it's a really interesting breakdown because there's one where he's in the same spot on his forehand, and Wolf's like, he's not shooting here. And there's another one, same spot, other circumstances have changed, and he's absolutely locked in on Nathan MacKinnon as a shot threat there. So that's part of it. And then he gets through the mechanics of a backdoor push in terms of getting access to pucks on backdoor one-timers on the power play. I mean, Colorado's power play this year struggled, but last year it was a wagon, and we're breaking down some of the footage from last year. So that's all at ingoalmag.com right now, featuring Dustin Wolf, one of over 300, I think 350 now, Hutch, in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
ProReads that you can watch of NHL goalies breaking down footage, explaining their decisions, explaining their depth, explaining their save selections, all things that will help you read the game better and make you a better goalie. So Visual Edge presents ProReads. They'll help you see the game better, and ProReads will help you read the game better. Make sure you check it out at ingoalmag.com.
I would suggest that in this one, Dustin Wolf ends up in a position very few goaltenders could ever get themselves twisted into. However, everything about how he got there before making the save applies to every goaltender everywhere. So I found it kind of an interesting one from that perspective. And you didn't mention, he talks about why he thinks the Colorado power play is, quote unquote, terrifying. He sounded awfully relaxed about Nathan MacKinnon standing there, and he's not going to shoot for a guy who calls something terrifying. So it's interesting juxtaposition right there.
Yeah, and like I said, we did this video at this with Dustin at the start of this 25-26 season, and it involved footage from last season when the Avs power play was indeed terrifying. I would argue it lost a little of its terror element this year. Maybe not from the goalie perspective, but from a results perspective.
I would argue if one of us was standing in Dustin Wolf's place, it would be terrifying.
Oh, if I was standing in the crease of the National Hockey League, it wouldn't take the Colorado Avalanche to...
Well, it would be terrifying for your Calgary teammates if you were there.
It would be terrifying. It would be terrifying for everyone if I was in the crease, including myself. There's a good chance we'd need to change some shorts pretty quick. All right, so on to the parent segment. I'm going to turn it over to you, Mr. Hutchison. But first, the parent segment is presented by our good friends over at Stop It Goaltending and Stop It Goaltending U, the app. Would you like 25 years of NHL goalie coaching experience at your fingertips? Want to tap into the goalie parenting expertise that helped Joey Decord reach the NHL? That's what you get with a subscription to Stop It Goaltending U, the app. All the knowledge from Brian Decord, who's been an NHL goalie coach, scout, and director, including currently with the Detroit Red Wings, as well as all the insights and expertise from his staff at Stop It, which includes a long list of veteran NCAA coaches. All delivered in easy-to-digest chunks, including 5 short daily primers each week, style analysis, video breakdowns, and drills you can take onto the ice with your team and coach this summer. Plus, you automatically get a subscription to In Goal. That is In Goal and Stop It Goaltending U, the best of both worlds coming together to make you a better goaltender. Make sure you check it out now at the App Store or Google Play. Stop It Goaltending U, the app. Hi.
Right on. So today, Woody, I have 10 tips for tournament success and a bonus about travel at the end. Spring tournaments, or tournaments in general, can feel like a big moment, but really, they're just an opportunity to enjoy the experience with your goalie without the pressure of results. I know everybody wants to win, and we build these up, but that rarely is the point. At least, I don't think it should be. It should be just about going out there and having fun. Because, look, this isn't your league. This isn't heading into a provincial championship or a national championship. It's just a chance to get together and compete against some other teams. I know there are some travel teams that really build this stuff up, but go out there and have some fun. Because for most of us, that's all it is about. So here are my tips. Number 1, keep your sleep consistent. Just maintain healthy sleep habits. Don't treat this tournament as something special because, I want everybody just to treat every game as the same, but be prepared. And since travel changes the logistics, don't make it a big deal, but make sure that every day and every game gets treated the same and your kid is getting the sleep that he needs because there's a whole lot going on that weekend and a chance to sort of spin things out of control if we don't have a routine that we've been maintaining for a while, not just that weekend. Number 2, have a nutrition plan. Just think ahead a little bit. You are going to spend some time in restaurants, so think about what the healthier options are that are available. There's no shame in bringing your own food from a local grocery store, whether that's about saving money or staying healthier, maybe even using a healthy cooktop in a hotel, which I've done before. It keeps things healthy and, like I said, helps with the costs. Just balance that, though. Don't forget with letting your kid enjoying being around teammates and out with the team. We don't want to be pulling little Johnny from a team activity because we think that we can make something slightly healthier in the hotel room. Number 3, build a gear checklist. There's a lot of moving around, differences from routines. So having a checklist is important. Everybody's is going to look different, but it is important to keep yourself organized. Something like maybe backup blades because mid-tournament sharpenings aren't easy to find. You don't want to be racing all over whatever town you're in for the first time looking for a place to sharpen Johnny's skates. Those racks in your room for drying gear, massive help. Roof of your car in the sun is a nice fallback if you have to. Number 4, have a talk with your kid about what success looks like. Have a mental preparation conversation with your goalie about their own goals for the weekend. And again, as always, separate them from the wins and the losses. You can refer to some of my previous segments for more about that. Number 5, embrace the unknown. Spring tournaments are unpredictable. You don't know which teams you're up against. I think that's part of the fun. It's a big change from your local routine. 6, stay calm between games. Resist the urge to overcoach or critique your kid. It is a short and quick weekend. Your goalie needs support, not a play-by-play breakdown from you. Number 7, debrief, but don't dwell. Help your goalie process the games afterwards, as we've talked about many times before, without getting stuck on the mistakes or the losses. If you've listened for a while, you know the drill. Focus on the process and what they did well. Number 8, prioritize recovery. Rest between tournament days is part of performance, not a break from it. but don't forget to have fun at the same time. I'll just stand here on my soapbox and say stopping your kid from swimming at age 7 because they've got a big game. Let's just say I don't really approve of doing that. Moderation is the key. Don't forget they're there to have fun with teammates. Number 9, model the enjoyment. Your attitude will set the tone, how you carry yourself throughout the weekend. If you are present and having fun, your goalie will too. And number 10, remember the big picture. As I've already said, spring hockey is about growth and experience, not results. And here's my bonus. I see this question come up a lot for parents who are traveling for the first time. Maybe it's to a camp, maybe it's to a spring tournament. How do we travel with gear on a plane? I'll tell you, for the most part, it's pretty easy. Call ahead to confirm with your specific airline, but in my experience, airlines treat your gear as just a piece of oversized check-in luggage. Get yourself a bag that's big enough to fit the pads in with the rest of the gear. Keep it under 50 pounds. Again, confirm that figure with the individual airlines. And your sticks will often be included even though they're not in the bag, as considered that one piece of checked baggage. I suggest you use sock tape to tape at least 2 sticks together because it gives them extra strength, and put them in some sort of protective bag, but it doesn't have to be fancy. One airline gave us a plastic bag they kept just for putting skis in the wintertime, and that worked just fine. So, should be fairly easy. Make sure you call ahead, though, to be sure that the individual airline you're working with has that same policy. So there you go. 10 ways to set your goalie up for success this spring or at whatever next tournament you're headed to. All parent segments, as always, are presented by Stop It Goaltending U. And I'll remind you that they're published on the In Goal website with a complete transcript. I would love you to go to the post for this week's one and let me know your thoughts and tips in the comments so that others can join in on the conversation.
I love it. Great advice. The one in particular that resonates is the packing your own food a little bit. Can be both a cost saving, but also, and like, just have control over what's going into your body. Like, how we feel is so important. I'm living this a little bit with a young college athlete in the house, and some tough decisions when she's on the road, or even dorm life where it's not athlete specific at her college, and so there's a lot of heavy foods there. It's an important factor in performance, how you fuel, and taking your own snacks gives you an opportunity, and your own food can give you an opportunity to better control that, because last thing you want to do is feel that McDonald's rumbling around down there in the middle of the second period. Have a Roberto Luongo moment in overtime.
That's for sure. And having the snacks that are healthy, I think, is a really tangible way of putting that one. I said it already, but I'm going to say it again. Don't forget you're balancing the social with the practical. You also don't want your child to be that one kid on the team that's held back to eat salad in the hotel room while the rest of the team is out having fun, because that puts them in a difficult social situation as well. But you can make some healthy choices at restaurants.
Why were you looking at me when you said that, Hutch?
I was actually remembering somebody else, and it's not you, but I can remember some spring experiences where another particular little Johnny was not allowed to go to the restaurants, was not allowed to go in the pool with the rest of the team because this was so important. And I guarantee, thinking back to age 7, mom, dad, and child will not remember that the tournament even happened, let alone what happened at the tournament.
Oh, the pool's a tough one, right? I remember even playing like baseball at pretty high levels and at like 12, 13, and they were like, nothing drains you, nothing wears you out faster than swimming, and that we weren't allowed to do it at those ages. But that was at least like provincial championships and stuff, and I'm still bitter about some of it.
Well, yeah, and sure, take your kid's age into consideration to an extent, but let's just not get over serious about these spring tournaments. And it's not the swimming, because the kids aren't swimming. It's the running around while they're in the pool. And you can do it with some moderation, and maybe you do it after the last game of the day and not in between games. Like, there's ways of pulling this off and staying sane.
Yeah, it's I get it. It's tough. It's tough sometimes. But I mean, I don't want to. I'm hedging here, Hutch, because this is we're still technically on the parent playbook, so maybe I'll have to cut this out if you disagree. But you know, the kids that are never allowed to have a single thing with sugar in it, and then eventually they're allowed to, or they go to a birthday party and they lose their minds. Or in my case, I remember first year university, I actually quit the baccalaureate program in grade 12 so that I could live a little. And I should say all, but a lot of the IB baccalaureate kids that got to first year university and all of a sudden there wasn't somebody watching with a thumb on them went crazy in first year university. And boy, did a bunch of them not go to second year university. So,
well, that could be a whole parent playbook on sending your child off to university, because we have certainly lived that both as parents and individuals. Don't know if I'd blame it on the IB program, Woody, but definitely keeping a thumb on your kid is a different
yeah,
thing.
I mean, if you at some point your kid's going to have the freedom to live a little, and if you deprive them of all those things, maybe they stay deprived, or maybe they embellish in their first attempts. We'll see. Woody should not be giving parenting advice. Kids have turned out fine, but I am an example to no one.
I'm trying to look for the comparison to hockey here. So I guess if you're too tough on your 7-year-old kid at spring tournaments, when they make it to the Memorial Cup and you're not watching over them, they're going to go crazy.
They might.
No,
maybe not. Yeah, team might.
The teams probably keep them pretty locked down.
A little thing called curfew. All right, we're on to our feature interview. Presented, though, by our friends over at NHL Sense Arena.
It sure is. And we thank our friends at Sense Arena for featuring or presenting all of our feature interviews. Listen, goalie month might be behind us now, but summer is just getting going. And as we just mentioned in the parent playbook, that means travel. Tournaments, camps, the family road trip, all the stuff that's good for your goalie and all the stuff that makes it feel like work stops for a couple of months. But here's the thing. You've heard me say take a break and have some fun. Well, if you've got one of those kids who thinks that fun means goaltending, then NHL Sense Arena is a great way to change things up, stay sharp, and have some fun while giving your body the break that it needs wherever you might be this summer. You can't pack a net and a shooter in your suitcase, but you can pack a headset. Sense Arena's NHL Goalie Drill Collection is 12 drills built from the real routines of NHL goalies. You've heard it before. Joey Decord from Seattle. We've got Utah Mammoth, Calgary Flames goalies doing reaction speed, puck tracking, game speed reads, all the stuff that fades when you go dark for the summer. And these aren't exhausting workouts. They're just quick, focused reps you can jump into anywhere. A travel week between camps, an airport delay. I could see Woody putting his headset on in the airport, wherever the ice isn't there. And if you do, please send us a photo and be creative. We've actually got one of Woody on a surf vacation using his headset. Got another of a goalie standing in Lake Louise near Banff using Sense Arena. We love getting those photos, so run a few reps, stay sharp, be ready for next season. The NHL Goalie Drill Collection is live now inside NHL Sense Arena. And as always, use the code IGM50 when you get NHL Sense Arena.
Gotta stay sharp, Hutch, even if I'm on a surf vacation to Tofino.
I haven't seen you have the guts to surf while using the headset. I've seen you standing by the edge of the shore. Absolutely spectacular photo. I'd like to see you try it on the surfboard.
I don't think that'd be a good idea with a functioning headset. Last I checked, the VR is not waterproof.
Oh, but you're such a good surfer. You'd be fine.
There is
especially
no
in those
way,
baby waves you're going in.
There is no way to get out to the waves without submerging at some point.
Well, I think you can do that in the baby waves, Woody. I'm sure you can. I've seen people take their dogs out. The dogs aren't submerging, are they?
No, that's fair. We could probably do it in the wash waves, not in the green waves, but we'll work on that. Okay, we'll effort
wash
that one.
Waves and green waves. You're getting into stuff I know nothing about. I tried surfing once and I didn't catch a single wave.
Well, that's most of my trips too. But beside the point. To our feature guest, who I got it wrong earlier. I mentioned he was from the area, a local guy. He's actually not, and he's going to get into that at the beginning of this conversation. From Alberta, Peace River, Alberta, small community in Alberta, but also a one-time Alberta Junior Hockey League MVP, AJHL MVP, played in the WHL, the ECHL, the CHL, before heading overseas. A year in England, a year in Denmark, and then finally in Germany about 15 years ago, he settles in, and like I said, over a decade playing pro over there, is now transitioning into the coaching side. Rather than me try and recap a career that long, let's just get right to Brett Jaeger with this week's NHL Sense Arena feature interview. Really excited to welcome to the In Goal Radio podcast, first-time guest, and I got a hunch it might be first of many because it's long overdue. Brett Jaeger, as he winds down a 20-plus season professional career over in Germany, making some transition into some consulting and into some coaching. A guy that I was blessed to watch in his younger years as a pro over in North America, working out here in Vancouver in the off seasons on the ice. And a guy I know is a true student of the game. So I can't wait to hear what's next. Just really quickly, Brett, I want to get into the background, but catch us up with where you are now physically as you wind down your career and what the next step is before we sort of dig into some of the origin story.
Yeah, well, I'm over here in Hanover, Germany, and I've been playing here in Europe for the last probably 12, 13 years. And winded down my career, and now gonna look into getting into the coaching aspect of things, and excited to pass all the knowledge down to the younger guys.
Okay, so just for those that don't know, the Hockey DB takes some scrolling from the AJHL, originally from Alberta, to the WHL, to the coast, little CHL, one call up to the AHL, and then overseas to Germany. So more than a decade playing overseas. You also played in England and Denmark briefly. First off, like that career path and career option overseas, like there's a lot of guys in North America that don't necessarily even look at that. What's it been like for you? Like what would you say are, so other than getting to continue to play till you're 43, which by the way is remarkable. We need some advice on that from a health standpoint. The biggest benefits of playing overseas for as long as you have.
Well, for me, I was lucky to play for some good teams, and England was more of a North American style league. There's more physical play, a lot of games. I think I played
50
over 50 games that year.
Yep, 50 plus playoffs for Coventry Blaze.
So it's a if you're an import goalie in that league, you're playing a lot of minutes, and that's kind of, I wanted to use that league as a stepping stone into Denmark or Sweden or Germany, and I was lucky enough to get on with a smaller team in Denmark, and then kind of partway through that year, a German team, came up and scouted me or looked to buy me out of the contract, and we weren't going to make the playoffs, and that team is kind of renowned to look for German Canadians or German Czech guys, kind of with the last name that is German, so you can get your passport. And I was lucky enough to go to the government and get the passport with the team, and that also extended my playing career. I wasn't an import goalie then, and so that helped me out a lot by extending my career. So I was very lucky for that to happen. So, yeah.
Okay, so let's go back. Origin story. How did it start for you growing up in Alberta?
Well, I grew up very small town, northern Alberta, Manning, Alberta. So that's probably an hour north of Peace River, and my dad played senior hockey, and so I would go with him to the rink and watch his games, and fell in love with the goalie equipment. His goalie, his name was Eric Hennetuck. He was my idol growing up. He was a smaller guy, but could move around, loved playing the puck. He played the puck better than some of their D-men. So that's kind of like the first goalie I laid eyes on. And so after the games, the parents are having some adult beverages, I was trying on Eric's glove and getting people to shoot things at me, kick things at me, whatever it was. And I was pretending to be the goalie. Even my grandpa was coming to watch my dad play, and he'd be having to kick a puck at me in the corner, and always wanted to be the goalie, and fell in love with the equipment. And yeah.
We've had a lot of different origin stories. I'm not sure, and a lot of different early inspirations. Usually they're big names in the NHL. I'm not sure we've had any senior men's hockey from Northern Alberta inspiration stories. That's one of our first. I love it.
Yep. No, Eric was a great kind of like a legend in that league, and like I said, he could play the puck better than some of their D-men. So
Love it. So into Drayton Valley, AJHL, and into the WHL, was it difficulties, challenges coming from a more rural area? How did the opportunities
well,
present themselves, and how did you go from, in the locker room with the senior men's team to playing at that level? How much was it coaching? Who were your influences early on, or was it just you out there competing?
well, I was lucky actually to grow up in a small town, and when you're in a small town, there's not a lot of goalies.
The upside.
So basically, we'd practice. I remember Tuesdays and Thursdays, and so if I was like a peewee or an atom, I would be say on at 5 o'clock, and then say the peewee team would need a goalie, so I'd stay out for the second practice, and then the bantams would need a goalie, so I'd stay out, and sometimes like the midget guys would need a goalie, so I would stay out, and sometimes my dad's team would also need a goalie, so sometimes I was on the ice maybe 3 or 4 hours a night. And then also that also worked for games too. Like if for provincials and stuff, you could go with the older team and get some work in there and get some reps and play against older guys. And small town, nobody really kind of, they kind of knew people in the area have heard of me. My dad was a decent player too, so I think he led the league in scoring a couple years when he was younger, so they knew that name. And then there's like a couple tournaments we went to. I think my bantam draft, we went down to like Edmonton, and we were a C team, and we were playing against AAA teams, and we were getting beat in this Christmas tournament 8 or 9-0, and I was seeing 70 shots, and that's when some scouts kind of started taking notice and talking to my dad and a little bit, dub scouts, and then I played in the Alberta Cup back then and actually ended up winning it. And my coach at the time was Barry Midori, and he was joining the Drayton Valley Thunder as the expansion team as the assistant coach with Milan Dragicevic.
Okay.
And so I was also with him at under 16. He was my coach at under 16, and Cam Rose there, and I had a good camp there for Hockey Alberta. And then, I always wanted to play for the Grand Prairie Storm.
Okay.
And went to their training camp, and they wanted to win a championship and didn't need a 15-year-old goalie. And so, I ended up getting drafted by Medicine Hat, and got cut from Grand Prairie, and then Barry was talking to my dad a lot, and I went down to Drayton Valley and ended up making it as a 15-year-old on the expansion team. So
and then Medicine Hat a couple years later, they had your rights. A couple years with them, little stint with the Giants.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that's a Dragicevic thing as well, if he was there at the time, and then finished it up with the Saskatoon Blades.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's that first year in Drayton, you're going down to play against the Calgary Canucks and Calgary Royals. And I mean, we had like 10, 16-year-olds on the team, and the shots were like 77 to 10 or 13, and you're giving up maybe 8 or 9. But I mean, that year I did a lot of developing as a 15-year-old and 16-year-old. I was an all-star and played in the Viking Cup, and then had to make a decision if I was going to go NCAA or dub, and we chose after the Viking Cup. I played well to go the dub, and went to Vancouver too with Milan, and also an expansion team. Saw a lot of rubber there, not a lot of wins, but and then Saskatoon traded for me, and finished off there, and that was that.
What advice, parents? We hear this all the time. It's actually it was a recent parent segment that Hutch did. Parents wondering like, hey, do I like where do I put my kid? That we always sort of weigh in that the positives and negatives of ending up on an elite team where you don't see much shots, or the benefits of, as you grew up, being on a team where, you know, you're peppered and you're under pressure and maybe the scores get a little crooked sometimes. Any advice on parents that face that decision, and maybe even more so for young goalies going through it? Like, that can't be easy, Brett. You know, being on the other end, I know it was a long time ago, but being on the other end of some lopsided scores, how'd you balance that mentally as a goaltender?
Well, yeah, it's like a double-edged sword there, you know. You want to get a lot of work and develop, but you want to still feel good about your game and win.
Right.
And like I had a mix of everything growing up. I remember like even in minor hockey, we won like, I don't know, 7 provincial championships in a row. Like, so you kind of like learned how to win and play in like, you're playing in big games, I guess, when you're 13, and you felt a little bit of pressure there, even though it's C hockey, you wanted to win for your town, and, you know, you wanted to keep the winning streak alive at 50 or whatever we had. And then you go into juniors and you're faced with games where you're getting blown out of the water and getting 50, 60 shots. And
any advice from back then that somebody gave you that stood out? Because that's quite a juxtaposition to go from one extreme to the other.
Yeah, you know, it was hard.
Yeah.
But it was easy though. Like you kind of just told yourself after those lopsided games, like you did what you could, and I was so young at 15, 16, just kind of like took everything in stride and tried to get better. And then I remember 16, I was like an all-star and was having a tough time after that Viking Cup. I played a lot of hockey and was the number one, and, you know, and I remember actually my first year in Drayton Valley, Glenn Hall came up to a couple practices.
Wow.
And he was great. All the stories he had. And then the next year I'm at the All-Star game and I'm just going through the mud, right? Goalie coach was Dennis Sproxton. He's taking me out for lunch, trying to get me out of my funk. And then we had the All-Star banquet, and Glenn Hall pulled me aside and we had a nice talk. And he's like, yeah, I hear you haven't been playing as good as you normally do, but hey, there's 2 nets for a reason. And I'm like, what do you mean there's 2 nets for a reason? Yeah, the puck's supposed to go in the net, Brett. That's what the game's designed to do. So that, like, right there, he was such a lovable guy, down to earth, had all the stories, and he was like an NHL legend telling me, hey, it's okay to let goals in. And that night went out, and I remember was MVP of the All-Star game in 1 period of work. And that kind of flipped the switch that year for me. Just having a guy like that to calm me down and say, hey, it's a game and there's 2 nets for a reason. And that's the name of the game, is to put pucks in the net, and somebody's got to win, right?
I love that. So she stopped. I mean, was it again, it's 26 years ago plus. So, that flipped the switch in terms of just not worrying if one goes in, like not dwelling on it and just moving on. Like that, we always hear stay in the moment, next shot mentality. Can advice like that help you get to that stage?
Well, yeah, it was just more of like calming me down, because I just kind of felt, you know, at 16, you're playing in these international tournaments like Kari Lettinen was the Finnish goalie, Lundqvist was the Swedish goalie, and I'm 16 years old. I think Lettinen was 15 then. And your team's in first place, and you're supposed to kind of carry the mail, and
there's pressure.
You know, there's pressure, and that's kind of, I started feeling it then. And then he kind of talked me off the ledge, and you know, the goalie coach was trying, the head coach was trying, and
you just needed a Hall of Famer.
Right. I just needed Glenn Hall to come and give me a pep talk. So I love talking with Glenn, and I got to meet him 3 or 4 times, and his stories were amazing. So
that's awesome. Okay, so you finish up with Saskatoon, undrafted, end up in the ECHL. Walk me through that path, the decision making. Obviously, you still wanted to play because you played for another 21 years, but transition to pro, what your options were, what some of those decisions were like early on. I mean, I look at your first year in the ECHL. played 37 games and posted a 927. Most guys in their first year pro struggle. That's a hell of a transition.
Yeah, no, I was a free agent, so I was looking for a situation where I could go in and try out, basically. I was going to go to UBC, but I had to do a little bit of schoolwork to get in there. Milan was the coach there, Dragicevic, and he wanted me to come on with him there, and that was the intention. And then in the meantime, I could play, I think, half a year in the pros and then come back at Christmas or something. I forget how the rule worked.
But that was the plan. So you were intending to go to UBC then? So
I looked at a couple options in the East Coast League, and then Fresno kind of like jumped out at me, and they were affiliated with San Jose. Yeah. San Jose, though, at the time had Nabokov, Toskala, Kiprasov.
Yeah, they were stacked.
Yeah, so they had 2 spots open in Fresno, and they already signed 2 guys. I think one was like an ex-first rounder from the Senators, Simon Lijoinet.
Okay.
And then they had a college guy coming in as the backup, and they took me on as a tryout, and I went in there and kind of outplayed the guy they had signed. And while the contracts in the East Coast League can be ripped up in a week.
Yep.
So basically I went in and got the backup job and ended up playing better than the other guy. And then they got rid of the starter and brought in Jamie Hodson.
Oh, wow.
And he was with the Leafs and spent a lot of time, I think, working with Ian Clark with GDI back then. And so I always thought, as in my junior career, that, I worked hard on the ice, and maybe I wasn't the most dedicated in the gym. I didn't think that was important because I had raw talent that would get me by in games, right?
Yep.
But Jamie was the guy as a rookie in pro hockey that showed me like how to work every day after practice on the goalie stuff, extra work, drills, stretching, how to really take care of your body, just how he prepared. And I think he played some games with Toronto.
Yep.
A little bit. And so just kind of picking his brain a little bit. I think actually before that, Rob Tallis was in too, trying out.
Really?
And so he was around there because I think he was playing in Finland and he was coming off a bad injury or a health thing. And so he was going to come in and be my partner. And then I don't know, something didn't work out. But even having Rob there, I remember just the little tips and tricks he would tell me with playing the puck and all that. And I think he's from Alberta too.
He's an Edmonton guy. Spent a lot of time here, actually Seattle and Surrey, but he's originally an Alberta guy.
Right. So we kind of clicked there too a little bit, and then all of a sudden he was gone, and Jamie was there, and so Jamie's my partner, showing me the way how to work, and and then Jamie moved on, and I stayed there, and the next year I was a ECHL All-Star, and I think I went to Oilers camp that year, and they didn't have a farm team for me.
Okay.
And then kind of I was up and down with San Jose and Cleveland a little bit. Got to practice with the Sharks during the Olympics while Nabokov was gone.
Wow.
Toskala for 2 weeks, so that was cool. And Wayne Thomas was the goalie coach there, so I just remember doing shuffles until I couldn't do shuffles anymore there.
Little old school there.
Yeah.
Wayne and the Warren Strelo philosophy, like a lot of the origins of like OG goalie coaches. I love it.
Right. And Vesa was a great guy too. And he kind of took me under his wing. And my mother's side is actually, a couple of my grandpa's brothers are born in Finland.
Okay.
My grandpa's born in Canada, but we got some Finnish roots to us. So so I kind of told him I have family in Lahti, Finland. And so he was my new best friend. So for 2 weeks while I was in San Jose there, he's a great guy.
What an experience. What an experience. Okay, so I'm curious. Game's evolving at this point. We're into the mid-2000s. You talked about the shuffling till you can't skate anymore. Like very different philosophies were starting to evolve around the league. You also mentioned earlier undersized. You're listed at 5'9". we were starting to see a transition towards bigger goalies at that time. Maybe not in San Jose, but around the league. Walk me through some of your experiences with that. Were there some times where maybe performance didn't matter so much as square inches for some teams? And I'm curious how your game started to evolve. You mentioned the tips from Tallis on puck handling. That, who were some of the influences? Because by the time I meet you, you've been in playing pro in North America for a little longer. And I think it was with Pascal Villan, and I'm watching your technical game and seeing, how tight everything is. But you came up in an era where there wasn't necessarily a lot of that coaching available.
No, I mean, I think would have been my last year at junior. I actually learned the proper way to butterfly recovery.
Right. Proper leg recovery, which was not uncommon, right? We had NHL goalies at that time that didn't have proper leg recovery.
Right. And so I just remember kind of a couple years pro, then I started working with Pascal. And we really worked a lot on different patterns, different the skating with driving the knees down. He's the first guy that we had a system where if puck's in zone 3, my toes had to be at the top of the crease.
Right.
Just due to my size. And that's where Pascal really drilled the depth and the, I guess, reads came into play. And then I think I worked with Pascal for 1 or 2 years, and then Mike Valley kind of came along and partnered with him.
Yep.
And we started really talking about the flow and the kind of more the mental side. And Kari Lettman was this guy there in Dallas then, and we worked a ton on hands, and I always could catch the puck and had good hands, so it was kind of just picking things up as I went along. And then Alex Auld joined those guys, and that's when when Alex and Lyle Mass were kind of working with Eddie Lack. And so there's a couple ice sessions with Eddie and I together with Alex Auld and about the, head trajectory. And that was a game changer for me.
In what was, and I think that's probably I think I met you at Pascal, but I think I was out for some of those. And how, in what way was that a game changer?
Well, it just gave me I was always an overanalyzer, so I wanted, maybe it was a bit of a perfectionist, but I always kind of wanted to control every puck with my hands. I wanted to control the play. I wanted to be no rebounds. I was playing a lot like Kiprusoff. He was dominating the NHL then and one of the best goalies in the world.
Yeah, not a bad guy to model.
Loved how he played. And then Alex kind of came along, and we kind of cut the extra movement down.
Right.
There's a lot of flow to my game. So it was just making things a little bit more simpler.
Okay.
And sometimes every goalie, when they're not playing well, you're thinking too much. And this gave me a good practice, I guess, point of focus was, okay, chin down, get over the puck and make simple saves and make it easy.
Right.
And that kind of, I think, prolonged my career too, is just kind of having that mindset. And also in games, you don't want to be thinking in games, but that was one of my cues, is just, chin down, get over the puck, make saves over the puck. And I also worked a lot with Jeff Bada too.
Oh, right. Of course. Yes.
In the years.
Yep.
I have to give him a lot of credit. We still talk every second day.
He's coaching over there now.
Yeah, he was in Hungary for a while, Austria, and this year he was in France. So Jeff's been a great friend, first of all. Yeah,
he's a great coach too.
Great coach. And, we haven't lost contact, and, I still would send him my videos and clips, and we'd go over stuff, and he gives me a kick in the, when I need it. And So it's now he's kind of helping me in the transition with the coaching too. So it's great to lean on a guy like that. So I also have to give a lot of credit to him for prolonging my career and helping me out during everything. And he was also helping out at the elite goalie camps too. So, but Alex kind of like, we worked on it that one summer, and I think I had probably one of my best year pros was in Dresden. There, it was just simple. I felt good every night. I just had something to focus on every day at practice. Was just getting over pucks, chin down, and not opening up. And it just seemed like you had more time.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's interesting because 2015, 16. It's funny because I think nowadays it's not as common, but this is 10 years ago. You know, your year in Dresden is .918 save percentage, but 10 years ago, if you watch video of a lot of goalies around the league, man, if you really broke it down, they were actually opening the net on a lot of save execution.
Right. And so that's one thing Alex and I really hammered home was a lot of skating with no delay and just being over the puck, making saves simple. Like we didn't even do any lateral passes, I don't even think, until the end of the summer. It was just all from the post to the near dot into a kind of like a bad angle save. And we didn't reinvent the wheel. We just wanted to get the mechanics down, and felt good all year that year. And then went to Frankfurt and we won a championship the next year. And kind of all that work paid off, and was playoff MVP and
won a title.
Got hot at the right time. Our team was very offensive, will say.
Okay, yeah, that usually comes with a cost at the other end.
And at the first half of the year, I that's kind of when I started working with John Stevenson as a mental performance guy. Just got into. I mean, Mike really talked about the meditation and stuff before.
Valley,
all that, but I was the kind of guy I wanted to play like Kiprusoff and make, every glove save, not every save look nice or anything, but just wanted to play like Kipper, right?
Yeah.
And Alex kind of calmed me down, and I kind of started looking at goaltending a different way.
Yep.
And then, got to know Lyle Mast and still talk with him a little bit about the goggles and all this stuff. And he's also a great guy and helps me out when I need some help, and has sent me some video on things, and like you've sent me some stuff. And I'm always trying to like get ahead of the game and kind of learn from what other guys are doing to make things look simple.
I love it.
Because the game is so hard and it's so fast now.
Yeah.
We might as well make it as simple as we can to give ourselves a fighting chance for it. So that's kind of with all the coaching. Tim Chevelday was my goalie coach in Saskatoon.
Nice.
So that was more of an old school kind of thing. And I mean, I remember one thing he said is never look at the newspaper. So I mean, it's been a good ride, and got to meet a lot of great people, got to meet a lot of great goalie coaches and goalie minds.
Right.
I consider you a goalie mind too. So it's been good. I think I've done a good job of picking little pieces along the way from all these different guys that have helped.
How does that shape as you transition now into some consulting and some coaching after wrapping up your career? How do you put all those pieces together? And is it important to recognize that they're all going to fit differently depending on the athlete you're working with? How big a part of the puzzle on the coaching side is that?
Well, that's kind of what I'm going to have to learn too. Is it's a whole new game for me now. A lot depends on the goalie.
Well, you took on a mentorship role, you were mentioned with me in your last couple seasons here with some of the younger guys you played alongside in Germany.
Right. And I think it's like anything. You have to get to know the athlete. You have to get to know your goalie.
Right.
No two goalies can play the same way, I don't think.
Right.
And maybe that's part of the problem with maybe the development of, not saying Canada has a problem with developing goalies, but I think if you look around the CHL and coming up, I think a lot of goalies are being taught the same
We
way.
try and put them all in the same box for sure.
Right. And what I'm seeing over here, and like even in Russia and stuff, Finland, I think the best athletes are wannabe goalies. Lots of the guys in Russia want to be Shesterkin and, Vasilevsky. And so that attracts kids to do that. Finland was, for a while, like Kiprasov kind of got everyone going.
Yep.
And, Rask came out of there. And I can't even name all of them.
Well, you mentioned you mentioned Lettinen, guys like that you played against as a youngster, and then Sweden. You mentioned playing against Lundqvist in one of those international tournaments. He's sparked the whole interest.
So for me to like start coaching here, what I'm going to give back to them is, I haven't even thought of that much yet, but it's going to be depending on the circumstances, depending on the kid or the athlete or whoever I have in pro. It's a lot as their mental makeup. But there is a foundation you want to get to, and that's, good tracking. I'm always a big believer. The eyes are probably they are the most important muscle for us. If you're behind with your eyes, then that makes your job a lot tougher. With our reads and our scans, the eyes do everything for us. So that's one thing about coaching the kids. I really try and preach is the eyes and the hands. We don't want to just be blocking. We want to, that comes from me wanting to control the game and no rebounds. And you want to make it easier on your defensemen. And if you're just blocking, there's a time to block and a time to react. And it's going to be different for me, but I'm excited about the challenge, and I'm going to learn along the way here the first couple of years. And that's kind of why I'm starting off a little bit slower, and that's fine with me. It's a process.
Walk us through what that next step is. I guess, like you said, in terms of who you're working with, what the plans are, teams, different ages. You were explaining to me before we started recording sort of some of the things you have in place, but I guess that is part of the process for you. You're going to need to learn which goalie needs the Glenn Hall speech, which goalie needs the Pasco Valana zone system, which goalie just needs a little, that's part of learning to be a coach, is figuring out what things are going to help different, not just athletes, but who they are as people, who's overanalyzing, like you said you used to do, and who needs that speech, the John Stevenson stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm going to start working in Hereford, and they're a German third league team.
Yeah.
And so, they've got me coming in as the pro guy, helping the goalies out there. So there's going to be there's a Czech German guy, Jakub Erbisch. He was my backup for a little bit in Hanover with the Scorpions. So he's a Czech guy. He's very competitive. He's like your typical Czech goalie. He doesn't give up on pucks and will do anything to make the save and loves to play the puck. And he competes hard. So I'm excited to work with him. And I think they're going to sign a younger German guy with him. Okay. And then I'm also going to, I'll be spending a lot of time with the young guy, developing him, obviously. And then I'm going to work also with the minor hockey team for them. So I'll go in there 1 or 2 days a week, probably on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and work with them
all the way down, to the young guys.
All the way down, all the way down to the young guys. And I'm going to start the video, I think, with the younger guys and kind of get them, because they can learn so much from that. And game situations, you can practice all you want, but game situations are game situations. You can try and reenact as many as you can in practice, but the habits start to show in games, I think.
Yeah. So, you see some value in, I guess, what we do, the in-goal ProReads, you see some value in these kids watching and seeing and learning how those decisions are made.
Well, exactly. And that builds hockey sense. Right. So That's another thing. I wasn't allowed to play net until full time until I was 13. I would play forward half and half, so I could learn to skate well.
Yep.
This was one of my dad's things, so I could learn to skate well, and I'd score the odd goal. So I learned a lot of stuff with the hockey sense with that, and that was not happy with my dad at the time. I wanted to play net all the time, but if I didn't have my skating, and I wouldn't be where I am today. So I'm very thankful for him that he kind of chose that path for me. So, with the young guys, it's all foundational too: skating, eyes, tracking stuff, and then really reinforcing, I think, like scans, stuff like that, to develop that at a younger age, so that it's automatic when they get into the higher ages when the game gets faster.
Now, can you share what it's like over there in Germany in terms of accreditation for goalie coaching? Like, do they have a program? What kind of goalie coaching did you have available to you in the more than a decade, like 15 years that you were playing pro? And how do you compare it to what we're seeing? You mentioned, we know that it's quite institutionalized, but regional in Finland, institutionalized, but national in Sweden. We're seeing, programs and guides in Russia as well. Like, where does the German model fit in from what you've seen? And as I understand it, you have to get some licensing as you make these steps.
Yeah, well, they have I guess they have like a star program here. So every team or every association every pro team that has a minor hockey association is ranked with a star program, and this is from how many A licensed coaches there are to C licensed coaches to goalie coaches, and how the rink conditions are, gym, all this for the kids. And having a goalie coach, you get, I don't know, half a star or a full star. I don't even know what the rules are, but you have to go to the Ice Hockey Federation here in Germany and take I think it's a 3 or 4 day training course there at their headquarters in Fussen. And then there's some online Zoom meetings, and then you have to do like a written test. And of course, like they give you like a subject to do. So maybe, for example, mine is depth. How am I going to have a full hour of like a goalie practice of coaching depth?
Okay.
How to gain depth or whatever.
So how to build out a lesson plan and curriculum.
Exactly.
All these years after not going back to UBC, you're going back to school, buddy.
Exactly. And so then you have to submit that into the federation, and then you get your license. And so
see value in that? Like as a guy, I mean, you've done this at such a high level, but maybe for others too that
I think it's a value for like the guys that haven't played pro, right, that want to learn something and want to give back to their association, and they it's good that they have to go down there and take the course, and there's guys like ex-pro guys in there all the time too, so everybody learns from everybody.
Okay.
And I think that's cool, and
that's good for German goaltending, I guess, if that right, knowledge trickles down to the youth levels like you're talking about.
Right. And I think everyone's like from what I see at the normal team training, everyone's like a good athlete.
Okay.
There's, that's kind of what I see here in Germany, is all these kids are big, they're tall, they can run. We got one thing they have to learn here, and I'm trying to do that, is with just simple ball exercises off the wall.
Right.
Is just to catch.
Right. Because they don't grow up playing baseball like you would have.
No, exactly. So that's kind of what I see. But you look at the NHL guys with Drew Bauer, they all move good. They all skate good. They're all good athletes. This Tiefensee's coming up in Dallas's system. So there's, I think tonight, this Jonas Stetmer, he just won playoff MVP for Berlin, and he's 24.
Nice.
So
there's some coming.
They're all big, lanky guys, and they can move. So that's what the NHL is looking for. So I think these guys are on the right path here with developing goalies.
What excites you the most about becoming part of that path for the next wave?
You know what excites me is just giving back my knowledge, just kind of giving back to the game, because I mean, the game's provided me with, 20 years of not having to do a real job, and it's been fun. I mean, there's some bad days, but you know, it's been a good ride, and just to give back, just the mental kind of points that you kind of learn along the way, and kind of see where they are at their career and what lies ahead of them. That excites me, to help them out and kind of give back and push them to get to that next level. And yeah.
Excited. Well, I'm excited for you on this next step. I apologize that it took 21 years of pro playing to get you on the podcast and a retirement for us to have you as a guest. Long overdue. I'm so glad you reached out and we touched base and caught up a little bit. Brett, this has been fantastic. I'm excited for the next step for you.
No, thanks for having me. Yeah, we should have did it earlier, but I don't know if I was trying to be like Kippersoff and just disappear into the lake zone up there in Manning, Alberta. I don't know what. I kind of like to keep to myself sometimes, but I've been just kind of like, you're focused on your career, and you're just, you got a family and you're busy with that, and you just kind of try and do your own thing and focus on yourself. But I love the content you guys put out. I'm subscribed to you guys and love watching the pro reads and all the stuff. So you guys do a great job giving back to the goalie union.
Well, we appreciate it. And we're proud to have you as a part of that goalie union and as a subscriber for sure. So thank you very much for your time today. And don't hesitate. Like I said, let's make this part one of many. I can't wait to follow your coaching career and your consulting career.
All right. Thanks, Kev.
All right. Lots of great takeaways in there. It may not be a household name for most of you. Obviously, probably not a household name for most of you, but a guy that I remember watching him train here, Jeff Bada, Pascal Valana, Alex Ald. He talked about some of the influences that he had here locally, and that's why I thought he was a local guy when we talked earlier. Just real student of the game, not the biggest goaltender. If I remember correctly, he's listed at 5'10", so to play pro for that long as a 5'10" goaltender, but just a real student of the game. And now that he's transitioning away from playing, I know he's going to have success on the coaching. And if he wants to get into scouting, hey, any NHL teams looking for a entry-level evaluator or talent scout who has eyes on Europe right now, give him a shout. You just know he's going to figure out this next step in the game because he thinks about the game so passionately, but also like really clearly. Like there's a calmness to sort of how he approaches everything and a real educated sort of take to it. So congratulations on a great career overseas, and thank you for spending the time, Brett. And we'll look forward to seeing what's next. What's next for us, Hutch? Oh, I know. InGoalMag.com, folks. You got to check it out. I kind of buried the lead here. Got some great drills with Dylan Garand of the New York Rangers, walking us through his entire skating routine during the summer. We started with 6 video drills that are live now at InGoalMag.com, and that is just the tip of the iceberg. I think that's like 10 minutes into an hour-long session, which features minimum pucks. Now, Woody screwed up a little bit of the audio on it, but we've made it work. It's going to be quiet. You're not going to hear the quick of the skating all the time because of Woody's audio incapabilities. But we've got some great feedback, and Dylan actually walks us through the drills afterwards, so you'll hear his take on why he does certain things a certain way. So make sure you check that out. Gwyneth Phillips, great piece by Colin Hode up there right now. Up there right now on Gwyneth Phillips, as well as he's had some great pieces lately. Mackenzie Blackwood, Scott Wedgwood, Freddie Anderson talking about practice. Lots of great material up at InGoalMag.com, so make sure you go check it out. Anything else for this week, Hutch? Or are we on to next?
Well, you got to give yourself a break on the audio there, Woody, because interesting contrast here. Cam told us about his appearance in the movie
off campus,
and all Cam had to do was get scored on a wraparound. You'd think it'd be pretty quick and easy. Didn't he say it took something like 5 or 6 hours of filming to get that one shot?
Because Cam's too competitive. He didn't want to get scored.
Probably. But look, you do hear similar sort of things. It takes hours to get a single shot in the film industry. We get to quickly step on the ice in a place that we're not used to doing anything, having just ripped out of the car with all of our gear, and you've got to get it in the one take because Dylan wasn't setting this up for us. He was just doing his routine, and we're welcome to film it if we feel like it. And that's our experience all the time.
Well, and the other part too is that one, there's some sketchy, let's just say I picked the wrong hotel overnight, arrived at 1 a.m, drove up late to Kamloops, arrived at 1 a.m, didn't pick the best area to stay in, didn't get a lot of sleep, was a little groggy by the time we got on the ice. And when Cam's out there, they got 12 people for off campus listening to the audio and the mics and making sure everything is perfect. The irony here is the mic was working fine and it came loose during one of the skating drills. So you can see, you won't see it on ingolmag.com, but you see in the video, the raw video, I go out to clip it back in. And what I don't realize is that my fat fingers hit the mute button as I was clipping it back in. And of course,
so
I didn't have
these things to happen.
I didn't have headphones plugged into the camera, so I couldn't hear that it had gone silent from that point forward. But don't worry, folks. We got lots of great video, and Dylan already sent me a text. If there's any gaps that need to be filled in terms of what he's doing, he's more than happy to expand. So look for each week. We'll keep building out this video series with Dylan and his skating that got him not just to the Rangers this year, but an exceptional showing during his 3 games up.
And I've seen him do those skating routines with goggles on, too.
Another user of the Track Optic goggles for sure. All right, that's it for this week. Will we have a Stanley Cup champion by the time we reconvene? That would be a sweep. I have a feeling Darren will still be busy and we'll still be playing. This is going to be a fantastic final. Enjoy it, folks. Until we talk to you again next week, keep your pads on the ice, or at least facing down. Unlike Woody, tends to get a little sprawled out. That's not goaltending, it's falling with style, as Woody would say. The other Woody? Okay, this bus is fully off the rails. We'll talk to you next week, folks. Thanks for listening to the In Goal Radio podcast.